King of kings, Lord of lords, you are holy, 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 holy.
Hey everybody, it's Roxy and Kyler and Eli, and we are so excited to join you in our Aspire series. So you just heard, or your parents just heard, Tim talking about dreaming and then dreaming to design. And I thought that this liturgical calendar was a great time before we start our stories over again. Anyways, to review our liturgical calendar, but also when we think about the stories of Jesus and what we celebrate in Christianity and how we dreamed about this, we heard about this, people experienced it, they told stories about it, and then people have designed ways for us to remember what we celebrate throughout our Christian calendar. So we are going to be telling that fun story today. And then we're going to be doing a fun craft later to design a calendar. But I also kept thinking about whoa, we've been in quarantine in our homes since March. And that's a really long time because now it's August and things are changing. And we've been in quarantine for so long that it sometimes feels like, when are we ever going to be not in our homes? When are we going to go back to school?
Yes.
And be in school? When
Yes.
can we go back to normalcy?
Yeah.
And sometimes it makes us sad because sometimes we miss all these things and it feels like so much of our fun things ended. But the important lesson of Jesus and the lesson for today is that with every ending, there is a new beginning. I wonder if we should start our story. I think you might be sitting on part of it, but you are. Thank you. Thanks. So, how do you tell time? How do we know what day it is?
Cloudy.
Oh, that's the weather.
And sunny.
Yep, that's the weather. But how do we know what day it is? We keep track on a calendar. At home, we use this magnetic board calendar, so we know what month it is, what date it is, and then we also have a space for weather. And that helps us to know what each day is, as long as we update it. We also know what day it is. I have my planner, so maybe some of you or your parents or caregivers have a planner that you can flip to and mark what day it is, so if you forget, you can go in, write what you need to do, you know when it is. So some people have calendars like this. Also, my phone tells me what day it is, so I can always check if I forget. Another way to tell time when you're thinking about history, and some of you might have learned this at school, is what's called a timeline. So some people tell time from a clock, and that's kind of this big circle that goes and it restarts, and then it goes around and it restarts. But when you talk about a timeline, there's just the beginning, and it's this little beginning, right? A little beginning. So maybe quarantine happened, just one event. We all were told school's canceled. Maybe it was your birth, right? That was one event that happened. And then that time, as each day goes day by day, that time gets further away. So you're getting older, time's getting longer. We're still in quarantine, the time is getting longer. The day is going longer. So that this time, this one event way over here, is getting farther and farther away. And you kind of think, whoa, how long will this go? I don't know. And it just gets longer and longer and longer and longer until there's an end. And then maybe that end is you go back to school and there's a vaccine and quarantine is over, right? So maybe there's an end. And that happens with everything, that there's a beginning and an end. But what the church did was interesting. The church said, for every beginning, there is an ending. But for every ending, there's a new beginning. And they took their timeline and they joined the two sides. And they got not a line, but a circle. And that is how we tell time in the church. We're reminded by this liturgical calendar, which is represented as a circle in all of our classrooms. We have this, and then we have the lessons, but we have this on the wall, don't we? And it reminds us that with every ending, there is a new beginning.
Yes.
And then we celebrate the same things after the end of every year. So let's go through our calendar, and I'm going to ask you to move over, Eli, so that we can see this. So we have our liturgical calendar, which tells us what we're celebrating on every Sunday that we come together and gather. The cool part about a liturgical calendar is that so many other churches and denominations celebrate the same Sunday as us every single Sunday. So it's not just Eli celebrating Christmas by himself, but everyone who observes Christmas is celebrating Christmas on that same day, which goes back to what Tim is preaching about how God is relational, and that community is where we find God and experience God in relationship with each other, which is so, so cool. So our 3 holy days of the year, our biggest holidays of the year are this little star down here is for Christmas, and it's white because it's holy and pure. Remember our Eunoia prayer bracelets? White was peace. White is often the color that's associated with Jesus, this purity, this holiness. That's white. So we have our white block down here with the star on it for Christmas. Then we have our white block on it with the cross, which reminds us about Easter, the day that we celebrate Easter. And then we have the third special holy day is Pentecost. And this one's a little different. Oh goodness. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's red hot Pentecost. And that is a reminder when the Holy Spirit came down to be with us. I'll tell you. The Holy Spirit came down as a hot tongues of fire, flames on the disciples' heads, and they all were able to speak in so many different dialects and languages, and they were able to go out and tell the story of Jesus. That is the birth of our church. That is when the church began, and when we began telling people about Jesus' story. So that is Pentecost. These green ones that are what Eli is asking about, all of these green growing days, all of these are Sundays from Pentecost until we get to purple. And the green all, hold on. The green all is for what we call in the church ordinary Sundays. But there's nothing ordinary about them. What it is this green growing time. Oftentimes we're celebrating it right now, we're in green growing time, and we're celebrating it at the end of school. We're celebrating every summer hot day. All of our gardens are growing. There's so much growth that happens, and there's so much that we can learn. And even though it's called the ordinary days, the green growing ordinary days, there's nothing ordinary about it. They're pretty special, and there's a lot of growth that can happen, which is why we call them in the children's ministry the green growing days. So those are the ordinary Sundays. Then you get to what color do we have? Purple. And how many do we have?
1, 2, 3, 4.
So we have 4 purple Sunday blocks before we get to Christmas. Do y'all know what that is called? What that whole time is called?
No.
When we have purple, we have in our church, we put out our our abstract art that so many of y'all painted in the sanctuary. And that is for us to remember that times are changing. There's new banners that come out, and all of these abstract pieces come back. And a lot of them were painted with blue and purple because those are colors that remind us of royalty. And so this season, these 4 purple Sundays are called Advent. And it's a time for us to get ready for Christmas. Then we get to what color?
White.
No, this one. Green. After Christmas, we get back to those ordinary green growing Sundays. We have how many?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9 green growing holiday or green growing Sundays, ordinary day Sundays, until we get to what color again?
Purple.
Purple. How many?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So 6 Sundays are purple for royalty again before we get to our special white Easter Sunday block. So for all of these Sundays, do you know what the time or the period that we are preparing our hearts for Easter is called?
Yes.
What?
So when Easter comes up today, I need to get the Easter eggs out.
Yeah, so we do a lot of preparing for the special Easter, and a lot of us decorate our homes, but we again have special artwork that goes into the sanctuary. We're singing special songs, and that whole period of preparing our hearts of 40 days is called Lent, before Easter. So Jesus went into the desert for 40 days and fasted. Didn't eat anything, didn't drink, just really focused on God, talking to God, praying. And then after, when Jesus came back into Jerusalem, that's when we have the Holy Week, when all of those events take place. Jesus was then taken and crucified on Good Friday, and then in 3 days rose again on Easter. And that is that Sunday with that cross. And then that special and mysterious Easter Sunday is so mysterious that we actually have how many white blocks after?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 Sundays that are all white still, and those are for Eastertide is what we call them in the church. And then how like if you think about the disciples, right? So the disciples had their best friend Jesus, and they're like, Jesus is my rabbi, I'm following him, he's my teacher, I love him so much. Then Jesus goes into the desert, then Jesus is crucified and dies on a cross, and they see him dead, which seems like the end, doesn't it? It seems like the end. And yet Jesus does this mysterious thing. Jesus rises from the dead, so new beginning, is with us during Eastertide and is out preaching the word of what has just happened. And then Jesus on Ascension Sunday rises up back into heaven, and then the again, you could say like, whoa, okay, Jesus, this is the end now, right? Like Jesus is gone forever. We're all alone. We don't have our best friend Jesus. What is happening? This is the end of times. The worst of things just happened. And yet Jesus then comes back and says, for every end, there is a beginning. And the Holy Spirit comes down and is with us and is still with us today, very active, alive with us. And then we start the whole calendar year again. The green growing time, our Advent, Christmas, green growing, ordinary season, Lent, Easter, and then Easter time, and then Pentecost again. And every year we observe this same calendar circle of the year, and it's so, so special. I wonder what your favorite part of the calendar year is.
During Christmas.
During Christmas?
Yes, and gonna Easter eggs, and then the Easter eggs to be red, and the green, the white, and the purple.
I wonder what your favorite time of the year is. If you like Easter, Christmas, Lent, or Advent. I really love Lent and I really love Pentecost. I think that there's something super special about those seasons for me.
Green.
The green growing time, I like that too. We can harvest lots of tomatoes. We can learn a lot about God. It's super fun. I wonder what yours is. Now, I would love for you guys to stay tuned for our fun craft where we will be making a liturgical calendar for you to have in your home that can also be a calendar of many different things. So we tell time with the days, the months of the year. Also, you could look at what's happening seasonally outside. So is it winter, spring, summer, fall? Maybe you can draw different flowers that bloom during those seasons. And it's gonna be a special clock just for you. All right, stay tuned. Bye. Hey everybody, it's Eli and Roxy here, and we are gonna make our circular calendar on with just a few supplies that you have at home. So what we have is we have some paper. We have some kind of watercolor paper because we want to explore watercolors today. And it's a little bit thicker, which will work better for turning it, but you can still do it with paper, like printer paper, construction paper. If you had cardstock paper, that would work really well. Or even if you had cardboard, like even if you recycled a cracker box or cereal boxes and cut circles out of those, you're basically going to cut different sizes of circles. So we went on a scavenger hunt for circular objects. So Eli found a small circle that will be the inside shape, one layer, and then we'll trace another piece of paper with this larger plate, like a kid plate. Then we have this pan that's also a circle and a little bit bigger. And then we have this big bowl that will be the outside. So you see how they can all layer on? And on each layer, we're going to have a different way of telling time. So we can tell time by the days, the months. We could even look at the moon and we could track that. We love looking at the moon, so we're gonna have a layer for that. You could do seasons, years.
Yes.
Yes, we have a lot of ways to tell time. So we are going to trace all of these different side circles on this paper, cut out the circles, and then we'll be right back with you. All right, everybody, we have traced out our circles. Now we're going to cut them out. We need to use safety first. So if you are young, do it with a parent and maybe they can help. This is really good hand-eye coordination. We want to make sure we're always safe with scissors because they're sharp. Everybody, we have traced all of our circles and then we've cut them out. So we have our inner circle. We have the second one that's a little bit larger. So it's probably like maybe an inch larger. And then third, fourth, and then the last one, the fifth one. You can see I'm just recycling something that I was playing with watercolor-wise. And then we're going to label each one of these with what we want to tell time with. And then after we label them, I'm gonna just label them with like a Sharpie, or you can use a pen. If you chose to use, you could do like crayon or colored pencils, but if you chose to do washable marker and then paint on it, like we're gonna do watercolor, but that would just smear all of our marker away. So we're not going to use marker, but we might do some mixed media with crayons, colored pencils, and then watercolor it after. But first we're going to label everything with a Sharpie so that it doesn't run off the page and get all blurry. All right, have fun. All right, everybody, it has been a little while since we have last updated our video, but this is our finished product. It was very rainy today, so we kind of just spent all day inside working on it. We went a little overboard with this one because we'll use it every single day as part of our at-home learning. So you can see that there's even like this little section that I cut out so that it would keep us on track. So you'll see Sunday, and then you'll put in the number. So like if it's Sunday the 7th, and it's April during Eastertide, so Sunday the 7th in April, Eastertide, and then we even added a section of the full moon, and each of these circles spins depending on what the day is. We didn't have one of those fancy clasps, those metal clasps that you put in the middle. So we just used a pipe cleaner and put it through, and then we twisted it. So I'll show you how to do that in case you are in the same boat as we are. So I just hold it, I have a little bit of the pipe cleaner, and I hold it down with my finger, and then I wrap it around in a spiral all the way around, and then the end of that little piece of pipe cleaner, I then put my finger back down and I tuck it under and through. That way the end of the pipe cleaner metal part isn't spiky out of it. So it's nice and tight. It works exactly the same. I hope that this is something that's helpful. Again, we'll use this every day as part of our rhythm and routine, just to kind of see what seasons it is. In the liturgical year, we have that right there, and the moons, the months, the days, and then the days of the week. But then Kyler, can I show them yours? So Kyler is working on his. He's just gonna have 3 circles, and he's gonna use this every morning. So he wrote Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday on this middle one. Then he wrote 1 through 31 on the second one. So we'll have the day of the week, the day of the month, and then right now he's working on writing the months along the outer edge, and we'll probably just use a pipe cleaner and put it through the center once he finishes it, decorates it how he wants it to look, and then we can maybe even like make the pipe cleaner point to what the day is instead of using one of these. Like I had to measure this and use an X-Acto to cut that out, and I don't know if it's super helpful, but I thought it would be fancy and cool. So we'll just keep on trying and see what way we think would be really cool to use it as a calendar. Lots of people use it as a journal too, so maybe you add an extra circle and then you journal what is in nature or what's happening in that time of year for you. And so it's kind of a calendar and a journal. I hope that this was fun, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.